Today, I want to work on some strengthening of the postural muscles. So I actually want to start from the feet again, like we did yesterday. We worked on a lot of the postural musculature there. And so I want to actually do that again, but now adding a little bit more strength and stability to that by engaging the posterior chain a little bit more. So we will do one exercise for the feet using a standard therapy ball. I'll just give you the highlights. So take one therapy ball out of your totes and get that ready. And then we will be getting into the glutes a little bit at the wall, because I feel like that's a nice, easy place to do it. And then we'll stay at the wall for the mid back, because I want to just roll the mid back along the wall, because it's really another easy upright place in gravity to feel that. And then we'll come to the floor, work through the pecs on the floor, or if you feel more comfortable at the wall, and come into some scapular strengthening there. And I'll give you a few different options or variations that you could use the therapy balls. So my favorite way to do that is to have either 2 blocks and 2 therapy balls, or have 2 alpha balls, which I'm assuming probably none of you, unless you have the alpha twin, have 2 alpha balls. And we'll do a little scapular strengthening there, and then we'll integrate it all. And yeah. And then we'll begin. I'll give it one more minute and then we'll get going. So I'd say let's get started, because I'm always chatting and running late. So let's begin, and if anyone else joins, we'll fill them in. So I do want to start standing today, and I want to take a single therapy ball to the bottom of the foot, and we'll just do one standing technique today, just to work on lifting the arches of the foot. So just find the bottom of your foot, do just a couple passes just to feel the bottom of the foot and awaken the bottom of the foot, maybe going along the inside arch, the middle 3 toes, and then the outside arch, and sweeping your way across the bottom of the foot, going from toe to heel a few times. Just to awaken it. And then I want you to place the toes over the ball and the heel on the floor. And I want to have you curl the ball with your toes, like you're trying to pick the ball up with all your toes. Give it a good squeeze, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Maybe lift the toes up now. And then let's do that again. Squeeze the toes around the ball. Try to use those middle 3 toes in particular to pick up the ball with your toes. Hold that for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, 1, and then release and pick up the ball, pick up the toes. And then let's do that one more time. So curl the toes. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Spreading the toes up and out. And then bringing the ball into the arch of your foot, placing your heel down and just undoing that work by swaying the foot side to side, really thinking about bringing the pinky toe side of the foot down. So we're trying to lift the arch by curling the toes, creating some foot and ankle stability there. And then let's come over to the other side. I don't want to get too caught up with the feet, but it's really, but just before you go to the other side, just feel the difference now. Feel the awareness of your arch on the foot that you just rolled. So awakening the feet really helps us create that foundation, which is truly the foundation for posture. So let's come to the other side. Just a few sweeps along the bottom of the foot to awaken the sensation in the bottom of the foot. Improve your awareness, proprioception, sensation, sense of grounding, moving from your head back into your body. Especially in this time, we're doing so much computer stuff. So reconnecting to the body. So big toe side of the foot, medial arch, along the middle toes, and then outside arch. Awaken the bottom of the foot, and then pause with your toes around the ball. My big toe drops off a bit, and my pinky toe drops off a bit, and then those middle three toes really curl, scrunching up. I'm trying to pick the ball up with my toes, almost feeling a cramping sensation in the arch of the foot as I activate it for 3, 2, 1, and then release. Spread the toes out. And let's do that 2 more times. Curl the toes. Feel the toes scrunch around the ball. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Spread the toes apart. And then last time, curl the toes. Scrunching along the arch, lifting the arch upward, feeling it cramping almost, holding that. 3, 2, 1, and then releasing, placing the ball of the foot over the therapy ball, and then just swaying the foot side to side, going across that area that we just worked. Really focusing on bringing the pinky toe side down to the floor at the outside of the body or the lateral part of the body, feeling the arch lifting here. Great. And then now stepping off the ball, coming back to just a normal stance, feeling the lift in the arch. Just shift forward and back a little bit here so that you can feel your weight come right over that high point of the arch. This is where we want to center ourselves, right? Over that high point, like the keystone of an arch of our foot is like the keystone of like a Roman arch. So that's where it holds the weight. So same kind of mechanical concept, so to say. So just shift your weight forward and back so that you feel the weight resting over the high point of the arch of your foot. And this arch is so critical because if we collapse the arch, we lose the knees in. If we're really rigid through our arch, really rigid through our foot, our knees kind of stay bowed out. So that foot position creates control up the whole chain. Now, the next major point in posture where we get our strength is at our pelvis. So let's come to the wall and come into the glutes and take your set of therapy balls with you. I'm going to shift to the alpha ball if you have it. I like the alpha ball the best for wall rolling. I feel like it's just a nice way to get in there. So come to just pick a side. No, doesn't matter to me. and lean into the wall right in the middle of your glute and just awaken the glutes here. So we're waking stuff up today in class, so we're rolling a little quicker. Yesterday we did this real slow kind of feeling into, melting into, softening, releasing type flow, and today is a little bit more active, so we're using different parts of the nervous system and different techniques to facilitate a little bit more activation. And so maybe do a little circling right along the whole gluteal area, awakening along the edge of the sacrum, feeling into areas of sensation. Also, even feeling for areas that might feel a little bit dead, like a little numb, like you don't have good awareness of those areas. And then you can turn sideways, get along the outside edge of those glutes and hip rotators as they attach to the back of the hip. And I'm going a little bit in line with them by swaying, as well as a little up and down going across the fibers. And getting these hip rotators to engage is also critical for keeping the knees from converging so that the knees stay in midline. And then both of those things, the feet and the hips, really help us orient the pelvis in space. And then now switch sides. Go ahead, wake up that other glute. I decided we'll do one more kind of glute activation when we come onto our backs as well. So sweeping, noticing the difference in sensation from side to side. Sweeping across from sacrum to back of the hip, feeling along the edge of the sacrum, and then feeling along the edge of the hip of the ball inside the socket. Bringing your awareness right to where the ball and body meet. Sensing, is there a guarding? Sensing, is there a lack of sensation? Feeling the difference in textures. Maybe pausing, the side on me feels a little denser, like I need to sink into it a little bit more to wake it up. Taking a few more breaths here, exploring that whole gluteal area. And that's why I like using the bigger ball for this, because I can cover a bit more territory. And now releasing the alpha ball, maybe just placing it on the floor. And let's come to our standard size therapy balls. Let's bring them first into the middle of the back, but below the level of the shoulder blades. Walk your feet out so that you're leaning right into them. And let's just chug up and down in that space around the bra strap and below shoulder blade level. You may even flex forward a little bit. And if you do, that's great, because what I really want to think about doing is bringing the ribs over the pelvis here. And then now move the balls up into that space between the shoulder blades, leaning back into the wall. Think about now dropping the pelvis back so the pelvis stays underneath
the rib cage. So before we kind of move the ribs over the pelvis, now moving the pelvis back under the rib cage. Just again, wakening all of these extensors through the thoracic spine. A lot of times they get tight, but in this lengthened position, because we're leaning forward or trying to hold ourselves up, so often they're tight, but in a long position. It's like they're locked long, is sometimes how we'll say it. So right now, I'm just trying to use the pressure of our body against the wall to unlock them, to awaken them so that they can come out of that stuck position. And then go ahead, let yourself come away from the wall. That was a bit of our activating sequence. And now let's move back to the floor. And we're going to stick with those two muscle groups for a moment, moving just a little deeper. Let me take this off. So find one of your therapy balls again. Lie onto your back. Place your therapy ball underneath one, right in the middle of one of your glutes, so right in your butt. And that leg, straighten it out. And now I'm bringing you into a straighter position. So position more like standing upright. And what happens is when we get to this upright standing position, often our glutes are at this point of insufficiency where they can't work well because they're in a lengthened state. And if we're really tight, they're not going to contract well. So here we're going to try to facilitate or get them to kick back in more of that lengthened state. So now squeeze the buttocks of the straight leg. Feel the butt engage and it pushes out into the ball. Hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release and feel yourself sink a little bit more into the ball. And now let's do that 2 more times. When you contract, I want you to feel even more gluteal muscle fibers engage. So squeeze your buttocks. You may even push your heel on the straight leg into the floor so that you feel even more activation. Feel the glute activate, push the ball out. See if you can even feel more motor units fire. And then release. And then let's do that one last time. Squeeze, hold, for 3, 2, 1. Activate every muscle and then release. And now take the ball out from that side. And just from that one activity, you probably feel the difference in the pelvis on the left and the right. So pause with both legs straight and just notice the change. And then let's switch sides. Ball into the opposite glute, whichever you chose. I'm going to switch balls. When we do things on different sides, it is good to switch from one to the other because you might notice that you tend to use one more and then that becomes a little softer, and I was feeling that at the moment. So squeeze the glute, activate as many motor units, as many muscle fibers in that gluteus as you can. Even push the heel into the floor a little bit to assist. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And after contraction comes relaxation. So allow the body to drop a little bit deeper into the ball. And let's do that 2 more times. Squeeze, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Last time, get every single muscle fiber in that glute to turn on, clenching the glute, pushing the ball away, maybe engaging the heel, holding, activating a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then release. Removing the ball, letting both legs come towards the floor. And then pausing for a moment as you bring your therapy balls back into your toes. So taking your therapy balls back into your tote. Take the balls just to the base of your sacrum for a minute. I want to just do a few rounds of pelvic tilting here and then thoracic mobility here so that you can feel that movement of the pelvis and the rib cage in and out of sync with one another. So just feel the pelvis start to roll over the therapy balls. This is so critical in finding your foundation of your pelvis, being able to move the pelvis in this way, feeling all the way back, feeling all the way forward, and then finding that middle point. Because when you sit, your foundation shifts from your feet to your pelvis. And feel how when you drop the pelvis towards the floor, as it falls over the balls towards the heels, the pelvic bones and the rib cage start to move in opposition of one another. So you elongate the front body, and then as you tuck, the ribs and the pelvis start to move towards one another. And our goal for perfect posture is to have equal space in the front and the back of the body. So notice if you can feel how it comes out of sync and then back into sync. Out of sync and then back into sync. And this is using the lower body as the driver. Now let's take your therapy balls up towards the middle back. So I'm somewhere around the bottom of my shoulder blades. Find that just right spot for you. Maybe a point where you tend to get stuck or be sticky or round from in your back. You'll be able to sense into that just right spot. And now take your hands behind the neck so that as you slide the pinkies up, they rest along the occipital ridge or the base of the skull, and then the palms and hands fold around the neck to give it support. So now let the head come down, let the elbows press out, feel the extension of the upper body as the head and elbows press into the floor. And as you do that, press the tailbone into the floor so that you arch like a cow, like a yoga cat and cow, into the floor. And then now tuck the tailbone, bring the elbows together, roll up from the head and round the spine. Now feel how you're moving the ribs towards the pelvis. And then arch back, allow the pelvis and the front of the ribs to move away from one another. And then as you exhale, round head, neck, shoulders, elbows come together. Think more of a rounding or a rolling up than a actual crunch, so that you're moving through each segment of the spine, arching the whole spine, pelvis and upper back, and then rounding the whole spine, pelvis and upper back, mobilizing with the balls through that stuck point, but then also exploring that lengthening through the front body and lengthening through the back body, so that we can ultimately find the place where the rib cage hovers balanced over the pelvis. 2 more rounds. And then releasing the therapy balls and just lying on your back for a moment. Feeling the spine rest on the floor. And now I want to keep building upward. So we came up to the thoracic spine a little bit. Now let's keep integrating from the thoracic with the thoracic spine and the pelvis, because I really want this stable, centralized core where you have equal space forward and backward, and then the shoulders and the neck and the arms can move freely on this stable foundation. So yesterday we spent a lot of time in the adductors, moving into the adductors to free them up. So now let's activate them, because they connect directly into the pelvic floor. That, like I said, that pelvic floor is a big part of our foundation for our spinal alignment. So let's engage the adductors. You can take the alpha ball if you want. It's a little small. So I'm going to take a block between my knees. And I'm gonna spread my toes, and I'm gonna push my big toe into the floor. I'm going to engage through the big toe side of the foot. I'm even gonna curl my toes so I feel that arch lift. Again, starting from my foundation, feeling the lift in the arch, feeling the squeeze of the knees as I engage the inner thighs. I feel that contraction up towards the pelvic floor, and I feel a little scoop of the tailbone. I'm going to just now engage the butt, and I'm going to hold that there. Take 5 breaths. As I exhale, I'm going to feel my ribs move downward so that I engage between the pelvic points and the rib points, activating the front body, feeling all those postural muscles engage. Arches of the feet, adductors of the thighs, gluteals and pelvic floor up into the lower abdominals. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and release. We're pulling everything to midline, and from midline, it pulls us up like a suspension system. So let's do that 2 more times here. Activate the feet, big toe pushes down, toes curl a little bit to lift the arch. Just from curling the toes, you might notice it activate all the way up into the pelvic floor. Just do that and see if you can sense, as you curl your toes, what happens at your pelvis foundation. Maybe you don't feel a connection, but maybe you do. And then that starts to bring awareness to, oh, how my feet foundation, my foot foundation, and my pelvic foundation are connected. So let's add all those layers together again. Curling the toes, squeezing the inner thighs, feeling that lifting up of the pelvic floor, low belly lifting up towards the navel. Now squeeze the glutes, press into your feet, and feel how the tailbone hovers, the sacrum hovers, the low back starts to hover, but the ribs are still locked down. Take a breath in. Exhale, feel the ribs pull down towards the hips more. 3 more breaths. keeping the feet, thighs, glutes, core all engaged. And then release. If we can feel all of that, stabilizing from that base, where we won't have to stabilize through the upper traps. We won't have to stabilize with the neck. We won't have to stabilize with the shoulder blades, so those can be free to move. Let's do this one more time. Curl the toes. Lift the arches. Push the feet into the floor. Feel the adductors engage right into the lifting of the pelvic floor. Feel the low belly pull back. Engage the glutes. Feel the sacrum hover. Push the feet into the floor. Feel a little bit more lift. Breathe in through the nose. Maybe exhale through the mouth this time. Shh. Feeling more upper abdominal now. Activate. Shh. 2 more breaths. Shh. Last time. Shh. Lowering down. Nice work. I want to come right into I want to come right back up to the shoulder blades now. Moving the arms, mobilizing the arms so we can move the arms freely. Then we'll put that together with the lower body action. And I think both of you have probably done this before when we put it together. My favorite one, integrating the bridge with the upper traps and the shoulder. And I really feel like that's such a good integration. That's like my one favorite postural movement. But so let's come back to the shoulder blades first before we bring it together. I like to take the balls out of the tote, but you could leave it into the tote as well. Slide down just a little bit so that you have enough space overhead. Take the therapy balls right to the inside borders of the shoulder blades. Now we'll move the shoulder blades on the rib cage. Hands start by your sides. Elbows start to move upward as the shoulders come up towards the ears, and then hands and shoulders move downward. Arms slide upward, finding that just right spot on the inside edge of the shoulder blade. So you're just off of the shoulder blade, sliding and gliding those tissues right between where the shoulder blade and rib cage meet. Moving them as it feels right, exploring that whole inside edge of the shoulder blade, finding that just right spot. And then integrating the arm movement a little bit more, bringing the arms up towards the sky, creating now a backwards and a forwards motion, getting the shoulder blades to drop back around the balls, and then moving the shoulder blades apart. Shoulder blades drop back so the ball can drop right inside the edge of the shoulder blade, and then pulling the shoulder blades apart, feeling that pull from underneath the armpits. Shoulders drop back and move forward. Shoulders drop back and move forward. Back and forward. Back, forward. Just a couple more. Now, arms begin to scissor. One arm goes up overhead as the other goes down by your side. Notice what wants to happen in the rib cage. Can you keep those lower ribs connected to the pelvis so that you keep equal space between the rib points and the pelvis points? So there's equal space in the front and equal space in the back of the pelvis. Then inhale and reach the arms in opposite directions. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, switch all the way. Notice if you can keep a gentle activation in the belly so that the lower back and the rib cage doesn't move. We're just moving the arms on a stable, balanced rib cage. Breathe in. And then exhale. Breathe in. And exhale and switch. Breathe in, stretch the arms in opposite directions. Exhale and switch. Breathe in. Exhale and switch. Breathe in. And switch. Notice how the motion is changing as you're breathing and as you're moving. Breath being the best mobilizer for our rib cage and for our posture. It's the exercise and the motion we do almost 17,000 times a day, some people say. And then bring both arms back down by your sides. Adjust the therapy balls just a little bit now, upward off the shoulder blade to the upper trap. So I like to say, squeeze the top of the shoulder as if you're having someone else you're rubbing someone's shoulders or you want someone to rub the tops of your shoulders. Then place the ball right behind behind that muscle bulk where your fingers are so that you create a platform for the upper trap. So you should feel that bulky muscle resting atop of the ball. You might not feel a lot of sensation here, but bring both arms up overhead now and feel the compression into the upper traps. Let's add one more piece. Let's take a prop and take it underneath the pelvis so that you can create even more compression. And we'll use the block to begin. And then we'll come into more of that active integration that we started just a couple minutes ago. But for a moment, let yourself pause. Let your breath return to normal. Let go of the efforting. Part of being able to maintain balance and maintain upright posture, as well as endurance, is knowing when you have to work and when you don't. So right now, just let go of any efforting and allow any efforting to drain out of the tops of your shoulders right into the floor. And then allow the arms to come down by your side. Take the block or whatever prop you have from under your hips and now place it again between your knees, reconnecting your feet towards the earth. Let's make this active, bring it all together. We're going to get integration of the entire spine now with the arms. So it's going to look like this. Push the feet into the floor, activate the arches, engage the inner thighs, squeeze your abdominals, your glutes. Now lift the hips up more this time, rolling up the back. As you arrive at the top, keep pressing through your feet, keep engaging your butt to lift the hips so the spine stays really long. Now bring the arms up overhead. Take a deep breath in here. As you exhale, lower the back down one vertebrae at a time, feeling every segment touch, keeping the arms up overhead, feeling the back of the hands press into the floor, feeling the back of the shoulder blades start to work, feeling the opposition. Breathe in and then exhale, let the arms come back down. Let's do that again. We'll speed it up a little bit. Feet push into the floor, engage the inner thighs, abdominals and gluteals engage to lift you up. Arms reach up, keep the arms pressing into the floor. Exhale, roll down, middle back, lower back, sacrum and tailbone. Breathe in and pause here. Still active, and then exhale, arms come down so that you feel the shoulder blades engage as the belly pulls down, so that you get the freedom of movement of arms moving freely on a stable rib cage. Let's do this one more time slow, then I'll let you flow through it a couple times. Feet press, inner thighs engage. Feel the pelvic floor lift, abdominals, glutes. Roll up the back, one segment at a time, landing on the top of the shoulders. Arms come up, keep the arms up. Roll the spine down, mid-back, low back, sacrum. Inhale, arms stay up. Exhale, arms come down too. Now we'll do it without the pause at the top, so that it's a roll up with the hips, up with the arms, roll down with the hips, come down with the arms. 3 more times just like that. Roll up with the hips, up with the arms, roll down with the hips, roll down with the arms. Press the big toe of the foot into the floor, keeping that foundation. Roll up, arms up, roll down. Last time. And release. Take all of the props out. Lie completely on your back for a moment. Let the whole body release, and then we'll move into our last sequence. So when you're ready, rolling onto your belly. Oops. Finding your alpha ball. Let's roll through the top of the chest. So from the chest bone, from the sternum out to the front of the shoulders. I'm going to start on my right side. So I'm going to let my head turn to the left, and I'm going to let my left arm drive this movement across the front of the chest. Oftentimes the shoulder blades can't engage because we're locked forward from the pecs, particularly the pec minor, which you may feel in these upper ribs about halfway between the chest bone and the shoulder. There might be a couple tender tender spots in the rib cage there. You may pause and breathe into them. And just take another minute or so to explore the chest, rolling across the chest, driving with the left arm by bending the elbow so the right arm can just move freely. So opposite arm doing the work. Head turned away from the side that you're rolling. And then release. And just for a moment, bring your forehead to the floor and let your arms come by your sides. And just feel the difference of now how the shoulders can even fall forward after even just a quick roll like that through the front of the shoulders. And then switch sides, coming right into the opposite side of your chest, turning the head away from the arm you're rolling. Using the opposite arm, kind of like a rudder, moving you along the upper chest, maybe pausing and taking a couple breaths. If you connect with a tender point about halfway between the chest bone and the shoulder. As you find your pec minor, which is an accessory breathing muscle and also strong puller of the shoulder forward. Taking about just another minute to explore here. Unlocking the front body so that we can engage the shoulder blades and the postural muscles on the back body. And then release, taking out your alpha ball. And this is where I said I either like to use 2 alpha balls, but I'll show you with the blocks and the 2 standard therapy balls. And I'm going to angle those blocks so they kind of come into the armpits so that the front of the shoulder rests towards the front corner of the block. Now I'm going to take my 2 therapy balls right into that top middle corner. So look, it's kind of like the bow of a boat. And then I'm going to place the therapy balls right in that space in the front of my shoulder, right on the top corner of the blocks. And I like to place the ball on my shoulder and then come over the blocks. And then I'll feel like my shoulders can roll forward here. And I really like that I can roll my shoulders forward so that I can move my shoulder blades through more motion. So right here, I'm going to pinch the shoulder blades together, lift the arms up, engage the middle back. And I'm going to feel a little pressure into the front of the shoulders as I do that. I'm going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to release. I'm going to do 2 more times there, pinching the shoulder blades down the back, feeling the shoulders roll backwards, hovering my arms for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing.
One more round, pinching the shoulders back, drawing the shoulder blades towards the spine. Engaging the whole back of the arm, back of the body. Keep your pubic bone pressing into the floor for 3, 2, 1, and then release. Now, arms come out towards a field goal position. You may already feel a little bit more pressure into the front of the shoulders. If you're not feeling that just right spot, adjust the therapy balls just a little bit. And now lift the elbows and the forearms on a straight line. So the forearm lifts up, still parallel to the floor, engaging the middle back, opening through the front of the shoulder with the help of the therapy ball. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and then release. 2 more times just like that. Reconnect with your spine against the floor, feeling the lower ribs press into the floor and feeling the pubic bone press into the floor so that you stay out of a back arch and you're just getting the shoulder blades here. Pinch the shoulder blades together to lift the arms. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. One more time here. Pinch the shoulder blades together. Feel the arms lift up. Upper arm like a capital T. And forearm like field goal posts. Hold them up for 3, 2, 1. Don't let them down. Stretch the arms up towards a Y like Superman. And then pull the elbows back down towards your sides, rolling over the front of the shoulder with the therapy balls. Keep the arms hovering, reach them up, pull down, reach the arms up, pull down, reach the arms up, pull down. 2 more, up and down. Last time, up, down. Now reach them up and let the arms come down towards the floor. Last exercise here. Turn your thumbs up. Draw the shoulder blades down your back. Keep the lower ribs, keep the pubic bone engaged to the floor. Lift the thumbs up off the floor. Hold for 5. Hold for 4. 3, 2, 1, and release. You have 2 more rounds here. Thumbs pointing up, shoulder blades draw down the back, neck is long, low back is long. Lift for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Last round. Shoulder blades pull down. Back stays long, neck is long, back of the shoulder blades engage. Lifting the arms up, maybe even a little higher this time. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Let all of the props come out. Let your hands come towards your sides. Head turns to the side, shoulders just drop towards the floor. Exhale fully, completely letting go. Letting the ripples of the practice dissolve. Moving back to stillness, feeling supported, feeling complete, And then as you're ready, bringing your hands under your shoulders. Press up to hands and knees. Come to child's pose for a moment. Hands by your feet. And to return to sit, pull the belly in and start to roll the spine up. Anchor the pelvis. Feel the low back stack. Stack the rib cage over the pelvis with equal weight forward and back. Feel the shoulder blades roll back, dropping down the back. And then feel the head resting freely on top of the shoulders. Take a couple breaths here, feeling the breath fill the trunk equally forward and back so that you maintain equal space in the front and back of the low back as you breathe. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you leave feeling more supported in your posture. Please let me know if you have any questions.